Look at that background. We have photos of Krishna and so many photos. Now, can we move this table? Hold on, everyone. We are live. Live in Krishna consciousness. How's that? Now I can relax, go back to sleep. Okay. So, we're only an hour and 15 minutes late. We just got back from WoodStock. Last night the kirtan ended at 3, and then we had another kirtan. We had a kirtan to honor Indradumna Swami, and that ended like 3:20. And then Maharaj took breakfast at 3:30. And we got home and we went to sleep at 4 a.m. Then we got up about 7:45. And Pracha went to bed at 4:30. Oh, she didn't go to bed. Well, she tried, but anyway, so I want to tell you a little bit about WoodStock. Maybe I can inspire you. So this will be a discussion. You can ask questions. I'll put the chat on, but I just like to give you some. Maybe it will inspire you a bit. WoodStock was originally a festival that was held in America, in upstate New York, in a city called Woodstock, in maybe 1967 or something. I don't know if it was held more than 1 year. And so all the hippies came out and camped out, and all this music and whatever else, drugs, was there. And so there's a man who wanted to recreate that same festival in Poland, and I believe he started 22 years ago. And the city owns this huge property, I don't know, thousands of acres. And I don't know how it started, but the man likes the devotees, or grew to like the devotees. But when it first started, I think Maharaj he told me he had 10 devotees, and they were distributing a little bit of prasadam and having a little kirtan. Praja, how many people come? 1 million?
I read something about 700,000.
Okay. So I don't know what it was like then, but now, 22 years later, they have 700,000 people, and they have three stages, is that right? 3 stages of rock and roll. Main stage, huge stage, is about 30 feet high. And there's like 100,000 kids can stand in front of that stage. Then they have, on the opposite end of the field, they have another stage, not quite as big. And they have shops, and then it's like a Kumbh Mela festival, and then a lot of the people bring tents and they camp out. And they just come and find a place and camp out. And then they have places where you can buy food, and they have a lot of shops selling clothes, jewelry, hats, shoes, mostly clothes. And the shops, along the way between the different stages, there's a road, and along either side of the road there are shops, and then they have outdoor showers. So people can bathe every day. They put up these. Yeah, it's like a temporary place where 50 people can take showers. And kids from all over Poland come. It's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a festival. Well, 700,000, and they're mostly Polish. So it's kind of like I don't want to say religious celebration, but in the perverted sense, it's like a pilgrimage. So, and one of the things that practically everybody does is drink beer. Not everybody, but most people. Not everyone drinks a lot. Some drink a lot, some drink a little, some probably don't drink much. But because they're drinking, they're pretty loose, they're in a good mood. So anyway, as WoodStock evolved, then Maharaj Indradyumna Swami became close with the organizers, and at one point they were doing kirtan on the main stage to 100,000 people, and if you go to YouTube, you can Google that, you can actually see that, whenever that was, 10 years ago or so, or more. And Sri Prahlad's doing kirtan, and there's like 100,000 people, and he's going, Hare! And they're chanting. So I don't know how it happened or when it happened, but the organizers gradually, or Maharaj wanted to establish their own place, kind of like their own little oasis within the festival. So they gave, I don't know, how big is it, 10 acres or so? They gave Maharaj about 10 acres or 8 acres of land within the... And so we have all these tents. We have a gift shop, we have face painting, we have a tent for yoga, displays. What else? Astrology tent, book tent. What else? Questions and answers. Then there's deities. And so the tents are on either side like this. And at the end of the tent, and also there's a kirtan tent, which holds maybe 300 people. There just kirtan goes on. 300? Maybe 300 max? Something like that. There's a tent for kirtan, it holds about 300 people. Sometimes I get messages like there's a problem while I'm talking. Yeah. Okay. So you have on either side of the property, you have just line up of tents. And then it culminates in where prasadam is distributed. And prasadam is one tent. It's just for the servers, basically, which is wide enough for how many lines? 6 lines, 8 lines, 10 lines? Yeah, so it's wide enough for 10 lines. So you have, because there's so many people, so there's 10 lines of prasadam. Last year, they distributed 250,000 plates of prasadam. So you have like 10 lines of people, because there's not that many places to get food. So that's within what we call the Krishna's Village of Peace. And then, so they have a stage, in the kirtan tent there's a stage, and it can hold maybe 300 people or a little more, 350 maybe. And then people can stand outside, and they don't let anybody who's drinking come in. So some people stand outside and listen to the kirtan. And then there's one other tent which holds maybe 2,000 people. And during the day, devotees do performances. They have this amazing drama. I guess it's a Russian drama group. It's like incredible. They do these performances of Krishna Lila and other plays, and other. It's just entertainment, and then we talk, give a talk. So we do from, I don't know, maybe from noon, we do entertainment. That goes on until 3 or 4. And then we had to, at some point, we had to give that stage up because they had so many bands that the organizers said we need that. So for years that was our stage, and you could, do kirtan with 1,000 or more people in the tent. So we had to give up that stage, so we use that stage during the day, and then in the evening is rock and roll bands, and so that's why we have another tent just for kirtan. Then the other thing that goes on, which is really nice, is that Lord Jagannath comes, and we bring one Rath Yatra cart with Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. So every day around 11 until for 3.5 hours, they take Lord Jagannath through the whole festival ground. So they go from where we are, they go all the way down to the main stage. So basically we're having a Rath Yatra every day. So officially the festival is, how many days? 3 days? 4 days? 3 days. Officially the festival is 3 days. I don't know. They think they do Rath Yatra one day before. So then they do Rath Yatra for 4 days. And so, yeah, we do like, 3 hours or 3.5 hours. And Maharaj has a crew of about 500 devotees come. Mostly from Russia, but devotees from... What? Less than 500? 499? Anyway, there's a lot of devotees come. So Rath Yatra, you have a couple hundred devotees in the kirtans, right? And they distribute prasadam, and they distribute schedule of events in the Krishna Village of Peace. So that goes out every day for 3 hours or so, 2.5 to 3.5 hours. And then what happens is, it's just interesting, because there's not, before all the bands start playing during the day, the kids are just living there and they're just walking around, just kind of hanging out. There's nothing really to do. So Rath Yatra comes, and then a lot of kids, they just join in. They don't know why, they just join in Rath Yatra because they're attracted by it. And then some of them are pulling the cart, and then a lot of them just start doing kirtan with it. They start chanting. And then periodically, we stop the cart in one place, and then we just, the devotees are really enthusiastic about getting people to chant. So if they see anybody's like standing and watching, they'll try to bring them into the kirtan. So we stop in different places, and then we get all these people into the kirtan. So they start dancing and chanting. You know, they don't know what we are, what we're doing, and they just start getting really into the kirtan. And then some people will join Rath Yatra every day. Other people will just see it for the first time. And then a lot of times, the people are, because we come there every year, people are used to seeing us. So a lot of people have learned the Maha Mantra, so when the car comes, they'll just start chanting. You find a lot of people chanting. And so you wonder, did they just learn the mantra then, or did they know it from other? And I think it's both. I think a lot of people know it from previous WoodStock festivals, because a lot of people come every year. So then Rath Yatra comes back after so many people are chanting and dancing, and then comes back into the Krishna Village of Peace, and the kirtan continues outside the Rath Yatra cart, and that will go to like 3 or so. And then while this is going on, the question and answer booth is going on, which has anywhere between 25 to 60 people at all times, the day through, from morning till midnight till 1, 2.
The first session starts at 3.
Is it? No. Question and answer starts as soon as the devotees get there, and it ends when the devotees leave. And it's near the prasadam tent, so people take prasadam, and a lot of people just come in and listen to questions and answers. So that's going on all the time. The big stage program, the kirtan tent hasn't started, but the big stage program has been going on since like 11 or 12. While the Rath Yatra is going, they start. Question and answers are going, face painting is going, the gift shop's going, the book display is going. So Rath Yatra is going throughout the grounds, so everybody gets to see and hear the holy name, get prasadam. And then then around 3 or so devotees take prasadam. And then depending on how many kirtaniers there are, the kirtan tent will start like 4 or 5 o'clock. And then while this is going on, prasadam's going on, face painting, the books, everything, and the questions and answers are going on. And then a kirtan will go, it goes every night till 1:30 a.m. because they're up And what's going on in the kirtan tent is, it's hard to understand if you just show up there, because it looks like all these people are devotees because they're dancing and chanting enthusiastically. And but a lot of them have come every year, so they're chanting with us. But a lot of them are they're just attracted. They see the kirtan, so they just come and they just join. And the devotees, they also bring people in. So if people are kind of on the edge of the tent, there's a lot of these girls they're just really into getting people into the tent, and then they're getting them into dancing, and people are, they're in a good mood, and some of them are drinking, so they're not so inhibited. And some people just go on for hours and hours and hours and hours, just chanting and dancing enthusiastically. Once they get in the tent, as long as the kirtan goes, generally they all stay. And so I have pictures of the tent completely full, with everybody with their hands up jumping in the air. So it's quite amazing to see, and it's hard to understand because so many of these people, they don't know devotees, they've never chanted before, and they just get into it. So it's also the nature, I think, of the Polish people. They're just very accepting. And so that goes on from 4 or 5 in the afternoon. We have like every hour and a half, there's a new kirtan group. So all these really amazing kirtaniers are there, and they have these amazing kirtans. And then we have musicians, bass, violin, flutes, guitar, saxophone, trumpet, and all these amazing singers. So the kirtans they're really done professionally well. And they're just super attractive. I can't describe the kirtans, but how would you describe it? It's better than Kirtan Mela, right? Or what? Different? It's different, but you get special mercy when you're chanting into the public. So every night I get the opportunity to do kirtan. It's always very enlivening and inspiring, because so many people are dancing, and you have so many devotees that are engaging people in dancing. So it's really sweet. And then every day I was also doing the question and answers. And you have new people, you have people who've come in the past, who've read our books and talked to devotees who understand something about Krishna consciousness, and so they're asking a little more educated questions. And then you have people who are becoming devotees, and they're asking more educated questions. And you get it's amazing. You just get lots of really, really good questions. And generally people are very submissive. And some of the responses I get is that some people say, I've come to your tent every day and listened to you, and it all makes sense. I can't, I don't find anything that I can't accept in your philosophy. So it's, sometimes, when the tent's full, the tent's full, you can get easily 60 or 70 people, I think. Probably if I had a bigger tent, it would get more people. And so this is, it's amazing. Just questions and answers are going on, and all day. And then because I did it every day, sometimes you'd see the same people come back. They just want to listen, they want to hear. And the experience they have in Krishna's Village of Peace is different than the rest of the festival, because the rest of the festival is very much influenced by beer and just kind of a wild atmosphere. But inside Krishna's Village of Peace, there's prasadam. We clean the grounds, so the grounds are clean. There's kirtan. It's just a different atmosphere, and people can feel it. And then Indradumna Swami told me that there are people who come to the festival just because we're there. They're not actually coming to Woodstock, right? They're coming and then just hang out in our place. Take prasadam, go to questions and answers, go to kirtan, talk to devotees. And then the devotees said, a lot of People have become devotees from that festival. So one of the realizations I get when I go there is how fortunate all these kids are. It's mostly kids. There's some parents. It's mostly kids. Kids meaning in their 20s or less. Teenagers, 20s. They're so fortunate that the devotees take the time and trouble to put this festival on, which is a huge amount of work. They're cooking prasadam. Well, if they do 250,000 plates in 4 days, and you imagine you're cooking prasadam for 60,000 people, and how much work that takes just to cut the vegetables. And then you have another 300-400 devotees, so you have to feed them 2 meals a day. So then you have another crew cooking for them, and then you have to facilitate all the devotees, so they rent schools and provide, sleeping facility and transportation. They provide from Berlin, it's the closest city, and then getting all the devotees back and forth to the festival, and then erecting all these tents and all the equipment, and the complexity is of all this, keeping everything organized, all the stage programs, the dramas. It's huge. So I always think of how Indradyumna Swami, by his desire and by the hard work of so many devotees, many of his disciples and so many devotees, how the festival goes on. And the mood of the festival is to give Krishna consciousness, and also the mood is to get it. It's an opportunity for many devotees whose service is just to be out at the festival to do kirtan. Of course, you have devotees who are distributing prasadam, cooking prasadam. You have so many devotees organizing. They have huge security, just because people are drinking. So there's lots and lots of security, and they're very much engaged, and just everything. And so the devotees, they perform austerity because every morning we leave, one bus leaves around 10:30, and the next bus around 11. And then devotees start coming home anywhere between midnight and 2 a.m. So many devotees are getting to bed at 2:30, and then getting whatever sleep they can, getting their rounds done, and then leaving by 10. What?
Doing their service.
Yeah, or if they have service, then when they get up, they're doing service. So it's like most devotees are there for, the festival goes 3 days, but they start 2 days before. Those people are coming early. So the devotees you're just basically there and doing what we have to do. And last night, the basic question was, did you survive? It was the mood. Did you survive? Because people are going on not so much sleep, and a lot of times they just, in the middle of the day, they just collapse. They have a tent where devotees can leave their things and take rest. So everyone's really pushing the throttle, and that's the mood. So it's kind of like Sankirtan in full force, really huge exposure to the right people. So you really feel the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. I mean, the mood of Lord Chaitanya and giving mercy, because all the devotees, they're all giving mercy. They're all making sacrifice. And it's austere, and so many devotees come, even though it's austere, they come back every year because it's so special to preach on that level. Some devotees they'll like do the question and answer booth. We usually have enough devotees that it can go all day, but the early morning or late evening, some devotees will just do it for hours. They just love it. And some devotees will just be in the kirtan the whole time. They'll come just for the kirtan, surrounding places in Europe. Some devotees just fly over just to be there. You know, they don't have any special service. They're there. And everyone does the austerity. And we all live like 6 in a room, 8 in a room, 10 in a room. The basketball court is one. There's probably like 30 devotees sleeping there. And it's just, that's Lord Chaitanya's mood. And so you really feel it. And you see how when devotees do that, then they can really make people fortunate by making that kind of sacrifice. And it's just amazing. As Maharaj says, once in your lifetime you should go and just be part of it and see it. See what it's like. Yeah, my wife went last year. That was once in her lifetime. And it wasn't, it's not easy, so. But she didn't come this year, but a little too austere for her. But she had a wonderful time when she was there, and Braja goes every year now and dances the whole time. And you get to associate with so many devotees. That's also special. So I just wanted to tell you what was going on. And another thought I had when I was there is how in a perfect world, in an ISKCON perfect world, this kind of thing would be going on everywhere. Just huge, huge outreach. And when you make this outreach, then there's so many, it's like so many souls will just show up and say, yes, I'm ready, I want to do this. So that's what you find when you do these kinds of programs, is that you find so many people who are, you could see, are waiting for Krishna consciousness. They're just ready for it. And then there we are. And then when you see that, you're happy. At the same time, you're thinking, how many more people are like this in places where we're not present, or we're not as present as much as we should be. So my feelings at WoodStock they're very mixed. They're very happy that so many kids are getting the mercy. And then it makes me think how many places in the world we're not reaching out as much as we would like to. So that, there's so many festivals like this around the world, or we can do our own festivals. But it's very powerful when you meet really interested people, especially, and you get to see them in the question and answer tent, and also in the kirtan tent. And you just think, wow, what if we weren't here? What would they do? They would just be at the festival, wasting their time and looking for something that was never going to make them happy. And so I really appreciate Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And the other realization, this is really, I think everybody gets this realization when so I got to, basically for the kirtan time from 5, 6 o'clock till at least midnight, I was more or less on the kirtan stage, except for a few breaks. And I'm watching all these people chanting and dancing like incredibly enthusiastically. Like I said, like they're devotees. And just watching this, and it's sometimes it's hard to understand. Why are they doing this? Just off the street, out of nowhere, and they come in and Hare Krishna, and they're all Hare Krishna, and then they're really getting into it. I mean, and they're feeling. You could see they're feeling. You could see they're experiencing Krishna consciousness. And then you just look at that, how involved and absorbed everybody is, and you think, this is like the power of the holy name and Mahaprabhu's process. It's so amazing and special. And you're just watching it before your eyes. You're seeing, hundreds of people. doing kirtan, and then as we set up for each new group, then the whole different groups of people come in. So it's like by the end of each kirtan, you have like 300 people. A lot of them are like people who weren't there for the last kirtan, and you have like, how many kirtans? You have 5, 6, 7 kirtans. It's kind of interesting, and they're all really into the kirtan. And watching that, everybody's just, because some devotees come for the first time, and they just like, when they watch that, they can't believe it, like how enthusiastic these people are. And so what the devotees do is you have a group of devotees in the front, and they're dancing, and then everybody follows them, so that, whatever they do, they'll do this, they'll that, and everyone will follow. And they find it very easy to follow. So you have this whole tent of people dancing, follow the leader dancing, and everybody's like really into it. And then the devotees will make sure, they'll help everybody get into it. And periodically in the kirtan, just to make sure everybody's chanting, because sometimes they get absorbed in dancing and they forget to chant, all the percussion will stop and say, everybody chant. So now the focus is on chanting. So it says, keep chanting, everybody together, over and over again, no instruments. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Like that, everybody just, and then they're like this, they're going back and forth. And then by doing that, it gets them more into the chanting, and then you go back, the instruments come back in, and then more people are into it. And then, I sit on this, I've made some videos, so I have I shot 5 or 6 videos that I can periodically send out, you can see. And all the times I would just get on the front of the stage, just watch it, and just study people, what they're doing. And like I say, it's hard to understand that some people come in and they get right into the Maha Mantra, and they're just chanting. Like, you're looking at them and saying, are these devotees? Who are they? Have they chanted before? You can't tell, because everybody's so into it. So, it's a thing that's really amazing, is they're so into it. That I remember last year when I came back from WoodStock, and then I would go wherever I went. I can't remember where we went. But anyway, where I would go and be with the devotees and do kirtan. The first thing I noticed is that the people at WoodStock were chanting more enthusiastically than the devotees. Those kirtans, they chanted and danced. I would tell the devotees, you're not as enthusiastic as the people at WoodStock. Devotees like, la, da, 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 da. And these people are just, just going and going. It's amazing. You have to. Anyway, I'll send videos you can see. I mean, the lighting's not so good. When devotees are dancing, the stage is bouncing, so I'm holding my camera like this. But I also have some stills. And you have to see it. You really see how the process of chanting Hare Krishna is universal, and how Mahaprabhu's mercy is just gushing out of kirtan. And, with kirtans like this, the people will never, in their lives, they'll never forget. But then they get prasadam. So the kirtan and prasadam, chanting, dancing, and they get to hear, and it just has this amazing benefit. And you really feel and see the dynamics of kirtan, how the holy name is just, it's such a engaging process, and it's so easy for everyone to do. And everybody can get very absorbed in it very quickly and experience some transcendental emotion, some transcendental taste, almost instantaneously, just coming in this sangha of devotees. So it inspires me to want to share Krishna consciousness with more people, and I always think about doing kirtan with more people. So the whole In fact, the whole time I was on stage, I was just thinking how we can bring this, how can we create a situation where we can get hundreds of people doing kirtan for hours and hours and hours. And it's something in 1992 or 93 that I did with a group of devotees in Washington, D.C. We had kirtan at the Washington Mall, which is a place where high school students from the East Coast, they come. Hundreds, thousands and thousands every day come. And we had kirtan on the mall. We had electric kirtan, and we also would engage onlookers, which are mostly teenagers, in dancing and chanting. And these people had amazing experiences. And we would interview them, and they'd say, "I've never experienced anything like this." So that's the power of kirtan. It changes hearts. Then the last thought I had is it's kind of funny, because I have my mobile phone and I have a SIM card which works in many places in Europe. So I could, I was out like 12, 13 hours a day or more, 13, 14 hours a day. So I did my communication with it. And so a lot of times I would do my communication just here and there, and sometimes even during the kirtan I would do it. And a lot of the communication I get is devotees are having difficulties, and they're looking for advice, and they're explaining to me their problems. I get a lot of emails like that. And one of the things I was thinking is that when you're in the kirtan, you don't have any problems, but it's for many of us, the opportunity to be in kirtan is sometimes minimal. The opportunity to be in the sangha of devotees is always not there. And you see that when it's there, when you're in kirtan, when you're with devotees, everything's okay. Things are good. That's the way Prabhupada wanted it. So to try to be Krishna conscious, no hearing, no chant, little hearing and chanting, little kirtan, it's very difficult. So a lot of our problems are just due to the lack of whatever the reason is, the lack of engaging ourselves in kirtan. And so I always say, or I always think that everything's fine until the kirtan stops. So when the kirtan, when kirtan is going on, everybody's good. And when the kirtan stops, then that's when all the problems start. That's my little meditation. And it was all the devotees, everybody was blissful. We were all engaged. And kirtan's powerful. So, it was just a interesting dichotomy that I'm in kirtan all day, 3 hours with Rath Yatra, then I'm questions and answers, that's another kind of kirtan. And then some days I would just go from Rath Yatra to questions and answers. Then I would go on stage and lead a kirtan. And then I would take prasadam and then go back to the stage, and then be with the other kirtan. Not always participating, but just be on the stage with them. And then sometimes doing this correspondence in between, even on the stage. And it was a contrast to see. It was interesting contrast to see, what I'm seeing is just like ecstasy, and then there's the devotees with problems, this and that, and I'm thinking, are you doing kirtan? Are you getting sangha? And a lot of times I know they're not, circumstantially, for whatever the reason. So it was interesting to see that, what Prabhupada created is he wanted us to be, as far as possible, in association, as much as possible, and hearing and chanting. So that's a thought that should always remain with us, that, that the process, Prabhupada's given us the process, and the process is powerful, but we have to be in association and doing the process, and that solves the problems. So, that's what I wanted to say, and we didn't go a full hour, but if you have any questions or comments, we can take them. Otherwise, we can end class. And I could try to catch up on some sleep that we missed. Since we missed some sleep. Yes. So, what do you have to say about all of this? Anything? Nothing, you're all silent. You're all happy? Everything's good? So tomorrow, if all goes well, tomorrow I'm leaving and I arrive in Amsterdam at 10:30 and the class is at 12:15. So if the plane's not delayed and there's no delays, I should get back about 11:30. So it still gives us 45 minutes, but you know, we never know. But anyway, that's the plan. Okay? So for all of those who are going to be here tomorrow, then we'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.